Hi! Welcome back to our group. I'm Sergio Siombing. Now we're gonna learn about the bookkeeping. Okay? According to Pasal 28 ayat 1 UU KUP, individual taxpayers who carry out business activities or independent work and corporate taxpayers in Indonesia are obliged to keep books. The definition of bookkeeping, according to Pasal 1 huruf 5 UU KUP, bookkeeping is a process of recording regularly carried out to collect data and information covering the state of assets, liabilities, or capital debt, income, and costs, as well as the total acquisition, price, and delivery of goods or services that are owed or not owed VAT. Subject to VAT with value 0% and those subject to sales tax on luxury goods which are closed by preparing a financial report in the form of a balance sheet and profit and loss calculation for each fiscal year ended. Bookkeeping involves first, billing for goods sold or services provided to clients. Second, recording receipts from customers. Third, verifying and recording invoices from suppliers. Fourth, paying suppliers. Fifth, processing employees' pay and the related governmental reports. Sixth, monitoring individual accounts receivable. Seventh, recording depreciation and other adjusting entries. Eighth, providing financial reports. Why bookkeeping? Why we need bookkeeping? We need bookkeeping to keep receipts or other acceptable records of every payment to and every expenditure from our business. And the second one, to summarize our income and expenditure records on some periodic basis, like generally, daily, weekly, or monthly. And then third one, to use our summaries to create financial reports that will tell you specific information about our business, such as how much monthly profit you are making or how much your business is worth at a specific point in time. So I think that's all from me. And then we gonna learn about the recording. Will be presented by Sari Ramadhani. So check it out.
Hi everyone, my name is Sari Ramadhani and I'm going talking about recording. Alright? So we will talking about the definition of recording. So recording here means recording by individual taxpayer who carried out business activities and independent work, includes gross income and other income. While for those who only receive income from outside business and independent work, the recording is only about gross income, deduction, and net income, which is the object of income tax. In addition, the recording also includes income that is not an object of tax, or which is subject to final tax. There are two kinds of individual taxpayers that are exempt from the obligation to do bookkeeping of account, but they are obligated to do recording. The first one is individual taxpayers who carry out business activities or independent work in accordance with the provisions of tax law and regulations that allow to calculate net income using the net income calculation norm. And the second one is individual taxpayers who do not carry out business activities or independent work. Here are the main points of recording. So recording must be carried out regularly. Recording also should reflect the actual situation by using Latin letters, Arabic numerals, Rupiah currency unit, and compiled in Indonesian language. Recording also must be organized chronologically. Recording must be able to describe these two things. The first one, the circulation or gross receipt, and total gross income that we received or earned. The second one, income that is not an object of tax or income whose tax is final. There are some points that we should remember about recording. The first one, records and documents that form the basis for recording must be kept at the residence of the taxpayer. The second one, records and documents that form the basis for recording must be carried out for 10 years. And the third one, for taxpayers who have more than one type of business, the recording must be able to clearly describe each type of business. And the last one, we should remember that for the purpose of calculating income tax, which is finally payable, this class of taxpayer is allowed to calculate net income using the net income calculation norm.
Next material is excluded from bookkeeping obligations. Before that, Sergio have explained about bookkeeping, so maybe I'm going to share the main point that related to this bookkeeping obligation. We are referring to Law Number 6 of 1983 concerning general provision and tax procedures, which repeated amendments to produce Law Number 28 of 2007, Article 1, Paragraph 29. Bookkeeping is a recording process that is carried out regularly to collect financial data and information, which includes assets, liabilities, capital, income, costs, as well as the amount of acquisitions and delivery of goods or services in the tax period. We should know the bookkeeping obligation. The bookkeeping obligation means that you must keep accounts in accordance with the bookkeeping rules that have been regulated by the state. Who is the subject to the bookkeeping obligation? Everyone who submits income statements and or tax returns for VAT to the authorities is subject to the bookkeeping obligation. Anyone who is subject to the annual accounts obligation under the Accounting Act is also subject to the bookkeeping obligation. Most people who run their own commercial enterprise must therefore keep accounts in accordance to the bookkeeping rules. As for the requirement in the implementation of tax bookkeeping, there are some of them. It is held in good faith and reflects the actual state or business activity. And then the accounting component at least records assets, liabilities, capital, income, and expenses, as well as sales and purchase, so that the amount of tax payable can be calculated. What is excluded from bookkeeping obligation? Actually, this is more to the person. So in principle, individual taxpayer who carry out business activities or independent work and corporate taxpayers in Indonesia are required to create bookkeeping. This bookkeeping obligation is regulated in Article 28, Paragraph 1 of the law on general provision and tax procedure UU KUP. However, the bookkeeping obligation is extended for individual taxpayer who carry out business activity or independent work in accordance with the provisions of tax law and regulation. They are allowed to calculate net income using the norm for calculating net income and PPN. This is accordance with Article 28, Paragraph 2 UU KUP. The taxpayers referred to include, among others, individual taxpayers who run a business or do independent work with a gross annual amount of less than 4.8 billion rupiah as a substitute taxpayer. Individual taxpayer with the above criteria are still required to register. So this recording obligation also applies to taxpayers who do not carry out business activities or independent work. This exception is made based on the principle in simplicity, especially for small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. This is because some of them generally do not know that there is the rules to create this bookkeeping. They don't understand how to bookkeeping, or even they do not have the employees who are competent in this bookkeeping. So for this reason, they are only required to keep records which are simpler than bookkeeping. And then I'm going to give you the main point again about the recording that have been explained by Sari before. So according to the same law with the bookkeeping in Article 28, Paragraph 9, it states that recording consists of regularly collected data on gross circulation or revenue and or gross income as the basis for calculating the tax payable. This includes income that is not subject to tax or is subject to tax. As for taxpayers who make record, they must meet the following requirements. Some of them are: recording must describe gross turnover or received and or total gross income received and or earned, income which is not the object of tax and or income who is tax final. In addition to the obligation to keep records, individual taxpayer must keep records of assets and liabilities too. So I think that's all from me. Next material will be explained by my partner Dewi. Thank you so much.
Okay, the last material we will learn about the method of bookkeeping. So actually there are a lot of methods that we can use in our bookkeeping. For entry system, there are single entry system and double entry system. Single entry system is a method in which each transaction is recorded with only one entry, while double entry system, often known as double entry bookkeeping, is a method that mandates every transaction should be documented or recorded in at least 2 entries. Here is the example of single entry system. As I said before, in single entry system, we only record the transactions with one entry. Here is example of double entry system. So in double entry system, we record its transactions by using at least 2 entries. So in each transaction has 2 entries, a debit in one account and a credit in another account. This system is complete, accurate, and compliant with Generally Accepted Accounting Principle or GAAP due to a twofold effect. If we compare this system with a single entry system, the double entry system is the more effective technique. Nowadays, this system is the most common, expected, and effective data entry method. The next one, according to Pasal 28 Ayat 5 Undang-Undang KUHP, regulates that bookkeeping is carried out according to the principle and with the accrual system or cash system. So, cash and accrual basis method are 2 methods of recording transactions for a business. From the table, we can see the difference between cash and accrual method. So, under the cash method, transactions are recorded just when we receive or we pay the cash. Meanwhile, in accrual basis, we record revenue just when it earned and we record expense just when it incurred. These regulations should be implemented consistently. Not only that, we also should consistent while use tax year, inventory calculation method, and also depreciation and amortization. So in tax year, we should use the same tax year's date for all the time. For example, we suppose on our company use on our first tax years, we use January 1st, 2021 until December 31st, 2021. So in the next year, we should use the same date of tax years. So in the 5th tax years, we should use January 1st, 2025 till December 31st, 2025. In inventory calculation method, we just can choose between average or FIFO method only to calculate our inventory. For depreciation and amortization, for building depreciation, we only can use straight line method, while in non-building asset like equipment, we can choose between straight line method or maybe declining balance method. So in the next year, we should use the same method or maybe the same tax years like the previous years. But there is an exception if there are some taxpayer that want to change their method or maybe their tax years. So according to Pasal 28 Ayat 6 Undang-Undang KUHP, the changes to the method of bookkeeping and or tax years must obtain the approval from the Director General of Taxes. And the changes in bookkeeping procedure must be submitted before the start of the tax years concerned by submitting logical and acceptable reasons and the possible consequences of the changes. So from this regulation, we can conclude that it's still possible if the taxpayer want to change their method of bookkeeping or maybe their tax years. But they should give logical and acceptable reasons to get the approval from the tax authorities. Okay, I think that's all from me and my group. We as Group 1 want to apologize if there is any mistake while presenting our material. And we hope this video can help you while learning about bookkeeping and also recording. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.